What's up, everybody? So, I'm going to go over the seemingly simple yet complex question of how do I find an editor for my comic book? Or how do I find a freelance editor for my comic book or graphic novel? And I'll go over what my experience is, my research, and all that. So, in general, what people are probably looking for when they say I need an editor, this can vary, and the pricing and how much time it takes and who is willing to do it varies differently depending on what you're needing. If you're strictly needing someone to proofread your book, that is simple and straightforward, and you can find almost anybody to do that. You can almost any person that's been in comics at all, uh, independent comic book creators, all the way from the pros down to haven't even self-published their own first book, will probably take on work to proofread just to check for spelling errors and things like that. If you're going up to a level up, which might be story development or actually editing for advice on professionalism and things like that, or actual story guidance or panel by panel guidance or critiquing of the art and things like that, that might be probably what you're actually looking for. And those you actually have to search for in comic book credits. Okay, so the first place to look if you're wanting a professional comic book editor, so if you have a book that you're either currently working on or that's finished, and let's say you now want somebody to go through it page by page, panel by panel, and to tell you, are my bubbles placed correctly? Does it look professional? Can this be accepted by publishers? Where are the errors? Can I have different page turns that would make certain page flips more impactful if I changed, if I put this panel on the front of this page instead of the last panel on the back of this page or something like that. If you need an editor that's trying to figure out the actual pacing, should I expand this into 4 issues, or should I keep it at 3, or should I try to condense it from 30 pages down to 24, and all kinds of guidance like that. A professional editor. These are the people that you're going to want to find in the credits portions of books that you read. So when you take a comic book that is with a publisher that you want to be on, or that's of the professional quality that you want to be at, you would take that book, open up the front page, and you look at the credits page, and you look at who does it say is the editor of that book. And most of the time, that person you can find on social media, and you can reach out directly to them and say, hey, I'm just inquiring about editing services and if you're open to offer those. And most of the time, they will be open to do that, especially if you pay, and they'll give you a rate. Now, the thing is these rates can be anything from very reasonable, something like $10 a page, to something really outrageous, to where it's like $5,000 for kind of seemingly stuff that you wouldn't necessarily need or want. But depending on what you're trying to do, this actually may be the route you'd want to go. Because someone that's more expensive, let's say you went to Reedsy, that's Reedsy, and you were searching for a professional editor. These are editors that will take you from zero to a publisher, and they essentially act as a liaison between you and a professional grade agency or something like that, to where they are not just proofreading your work or giving you simple guidance. They are going through everything to make sure that you have a hit book that a publisher will want to pick up. And they will then, once you're in with a publisher, they will then act as sort of the go-to person that answers emails and develops all the information that you need to gather for marketing and things that you, as a pure talent, artist, writer, don't necessarily want to deal with when it comes to actually having to gather all the synopsis data and the copy, meaning like the words and text that are going to go in ads or in the solicitations, which means the pages that go into the previews catalogs and things like that. If you don't want to actually create that stuff, you want an editor to take that on, that's a lot of work. Those are what you're paying for when you're paying the thousands of dollars for an editor, because they're not just someone that's reading the book and giving you a little bit of advice. They are, every avenue that you're going through from start to finish to production to marketing to everything. They're the in between sort of project manager of your whole book. And they've done this with multiple big hit properties, and that's why they can charge what they do, because they're making sure that they get your book in front of as many eyeballs and credible faces that it needs to be to whatever you're asking them for. Once again, a lot of this comes down to what you're specifically needing. And so then when it comes to trying to find that person, you need to narrow down what it is you're looking for. If you're looking for someone to oversee the project, if you treat yourself as the talent, so to speak, meaning you don't want to do all the back end work of the business of your book, you just want to write the thing, send it to somebody that can make it presentable, and then them deal with everything else. They are essentially managing the project for you. That's where a professional editor may be what you're looking for. If that's what you're looking for, you want to go to the top end, high end editors, and where you'll find those is you would either go into Google and search freelance comic book editors, or freelance graphic novel editors, and then you would just go down and find. And most of the time, what you'll find is editors that have worked with Marvel, DC, and all the biggest publishers, Penguin, Random House, done graphic novels for that, and they will charge a high grade, and they will specify specifically what they'll do for that price on their own website as an agency, and they usually do a lot of different things, and they narrow it down. The same kind of editors will also charge a lot because if they are actually doing writing services. So if they are actually editing and rewriting pages for you, if they are actually scripting or re-scripting, that they will explain what they can do and what those prices are on their own website as an agency, even if it might just be them as a one-person agency. Aside from that, you can go to Reedsy, like I was saying, and you can find, once again, all the pros of some of the biggest publishers that are out there. Now, for those of us who cannot afford those kinds of editors and who aren't necessarily needing that kind of work, if you're just needing someone to overlook what you've done and then give you advice on what any kind of minor or last minute changes they can make, as far as any typos, bubble replacement, dialogue changes, where it gets stale, things like that you would literally just go and ask other people who've created comics, because most other creators will also act as an editor for you on your behalf, because it helps them get more experience. It helps us get essentially more exposure into more books. As an editor, you can sort of take on a credit for books that you sort of stamp and develop as good books, which can then keep your name as associated with high quality books. And that's kind of where I stand. So I also, for those that are looking for that kind of an editor, I will stand as an editor for that and give guidance, proofread, read it. And like I said, the adjustments that editors like myself will actually make is mainly trying to give you guidance on the back end. So what can you do now that it's a mostly finished project to actually make it crisp at the end? Where were any things that you didn't notice? What I can give you specific advice on, page bleeds and some of the specifics of layout and design. And at the same time, for those who are in a very early stage, can give guidance on sort of, like I was saying earlier with other editors, is like pacing. How many issues should this be? How can I adapt my novel or screenplay into a comic series? What kind of publisher should I be looking for? More of like a general guidance kind of editor. And then once you make it to the next step, actually take on a very step-by-step role as more like the project manager kind of editor. We're just seeing project through all the way till the end. Now, there's another third kind of editor that I haven't mentioned, and these ones are harder to find. They usually find you. But this is the editor that acts as More like a collab, someone that takes a theme or a topic and collaborates and brings together certain creators to make one book. So they're almost like the person that's hiring the both writers and artists to create a project that they know will be successful or have high confidence that'll be something people will enjoy. And for their efforts, they aren't usually expecting to be paid by the creator. They are actually hiring you in exchange for a a portion of the rights of the overall book because they maybe developed the storyline. And this is where you'll find all kinds of anthologies that and this kind of editor is someone that finds multiple creators to write and create an anthology that's all within a theme of a certain sci-fi, a certain horror, weird stuff, whatever it is, like anthology types editors. This can also be an editor that actually works for a company, works for a publisher, and and this is the classic example of a Marvel and DC editor where they need to find creators to expand upon a certain IP. And it's not just Marvel and DC. Editors of this type will work for any form of IP that's already out there, and they will actually seek out certain creators that they think will fit and expand and grow a certain IP. This is the kind of people that go out and seek someone that's like, you would be a good writer for Care Bears or whatever it is, or they feel as though you might. And these editors, however, although they're seeking them out, they do take inquiries from other people that are saying, hey, I think I'd be a good fit for whatever project you manage. And if you, as a creator, are looking for these artists, once again, you go through the books that you're trying to work with and go to the credits page and look at who the editor is. Now, if you don't want to go through physically all the books, the best places to do this is a place called League of Comic Geeks. League of Comic Geeks is a database of virtually every book for the past decade or two that's released through the direct market, meaning through comic shops, distributed through the main distributors, Diamond, Lunar, etc. And everyone that's worked on the book, everyone that's credited in that book, you can find their name, and then you can click on their name and see every other book they've worked on, every publisher that book is published through, and so on. So those are the main editors that I kind of see there. Now, like I was saying, what you're specifically looking for can vary a lot, and meaning then what the kind of editor is charging can vary a lot. And there's no one single database that I can find where there's just a database of editors. A lot of people have tried to create such a thing, collaborative websites. So there are platforms that you can look up that do try to combine writers and editors. And like I said, most people that are in this space can also act as editors if they're asked about it. But there is also one final thing I was going to mention. I found there is something called the Gig Packet, which is the Global Indie Group Packet. And this is a packet through Any One World, which is an imprint of ASAP Imagination, which is a publisher out of the UK. Essentially, this is a group that they gather certain people to be a part of their cooperative, I guess, and they're kind of their publishing group. And they've created this packet that has basically everyone that's a big long list of independent editors, independent writers, everybody, it also independent reviewers and podcasts and things like that. And that's kind of a collaborative list of everybody that's involved. I'm also working on creating a sort of a booklet like this. And for those that take my course and things like that, all the combined information of everything I've gotten up to this point is available as well to anybody that buys my courses and things like that. But yeah, so I'm also working on a more like elaborate, big, long list of sort of everybody I know in the game, and anybody that wants to be involved in that list can reach out to me. But like I said, I also do editing services that are for those that are looking for it, and you can just go to everything else that I offer and my pricing and stuff, and it's at hovencrow.com in the services page. So hopefully that was helpful to everybody. And sorry for rambling. This one wasn't as scripted as it should have been. Thanks, everybody. See ya.